It's about time with Rashawn's About Time Boxing, aka Mr. Trill 100 Mil. What up to the About Time Boxing family and my Trill 100 Mil gang? Thank you to everybody that has subscribed to the channel, who has been taking out the time to watch the videos and like the videos and leave the comments. I always say it and I mean it. I honestly and sincerely appreciate each and every one of y'all. And like I said, man, listen, y'all my About Time Boxing family and my Trill 100 Mil gang. I feel like I got the best audience on YouTube. You know, like I said, for me, it don't matter how many. I still feel like I got the best. You know what I mean? And I appreciate y'all rocking with me. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna rock out with y'all. Um, Before we get into it, boxing has lost another another great warrior, another great fighter to me. Um, the surgeon Frankie Randall. Frankie Randall passed away, and so in boxing is customary, to toll the bell 10 times. It ain't no different right here with the About Time Boxing family and the Trill 100 Mil gang. So we gonna pay our respects by tolling the bell 10 times for Frankie the Surgeon Randall. He was actually the first guy to defeat Julio Cesar Chavez too, ended his undefeated streak. So we gonna pay our respects. Rest well, soldier. You was a true warrior and a champion, and you will be missed. And our condolences from the About Time Boxing family and the Trill 100 Mil gang go out to the family of Frankie Randall. All right, Mr. Gary Russell Jr. Mr. I can't get a fight. That's why I fight once a year. Gary Russell first, came into the sport, when I heard about him, I was a fan. I liked how he performed in the ring, good ring generalship, quick jab, nice combinations, can fight backing up, good lateral movement, got the whole package. Can't deny it. But it seems like he's turning into boxing's biggest crybaby. I wouldn't expect I would not have expected that. You know what I mean? He complaining he can't get no fights and all that, but he only fight once a year, and it seems like when he do fight, it's like he fighting his mandatories. I think his last two fights was with Joseph Diaz and Tugstad Nembayar. And he say he wants to fight, Leo Santa Cruz. He say he wants to fight Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Josh Warrington. But it's and those are all good fights. Cool Boy Steph. I would love to see Gary Russell and Cool Boy Steph fight. I would love to see that. Cool Boy Steph would be back in the ring too. I think January 23rd. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But Gary Russell will be fighting February 27th against Tomoki Kameda. Tomoki Kameda. It's kind of a hard time, like saying his name, but he's 36-3 with I think 20 knockouts, and he has his three losses. I know he fought Jamie McDonald twice, and then he fought what's the other guy's name? Ray Vargas, I think. So he got three losses. Tomoki Kameda. He has 3 losses, and 2 of them is to McDonald, Jamie McDonald, who held the IBF belt, I believe, in 2013, and then I think he had the WBO bantamweight belt, I think, for about 4 years. I think from like 2014 to 2018 or something like that. So he's fighting this guy. And some of y'all might have heard of Tomoki Kameda. Some of y'all may not have heard of him. They call him the Little Mexican. He's from Osaka, Japan, but they call him the Little Mexican. And he's scrappy. He tough. I've seen a few of his fights. He can fight. He can't fight back and straight up, but he got a little pop. He got some pop. He got good movement, good combinations. Sometimes I think he hold his hands too low and his gloves be too far apart sometimes. But in his first fight, Tomoki Kameda, his first fight with Jamie McDonald, I mean, they gave it, they gave the fight to, of course, they gave it to McDonald, but if you seen the fight, y'all might, y'all might have said draw, or you know what I mean, it was a toss up. It was a good fight. I think all 3 judges had it like 113 to 114, I think, something like that. But I don't know if Gary Russell fighting this guy because he claimed that none of the other guys want to fight him, but too much information that's out there to prove otherwise. He's saying that he can't get. Now I don't know what his situation is with Leo Santa Cruz, because he just feel like he just gonna walk through Leo Santa Cruz, and I don't know, he might, you never know. But he caught when he said that he'll fight Devin Haney. Devin Haney and his dad said, all right, let's make the fight happen. And he said, all right, give me 1.5 million, shawty slam, and I'm gonna beat your ass. Give me 1.5, and we can make it. Let's make it happen. 1.5, that's the number, and I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna shawty slam. I'm gonna beat you. That's what he said. And Devin and Bill Haney said, all right, we gonna put the money up. Go holler at Al Heyman. See what Al want to do. And I think first he was saying like, oh, I ain't talk to Al and all this and that. That they said, look, they'll put up the 1.5 themselves. They wasn't even gonna go, to DAZN or Eddie Hearn. And they said even if DAZN or Eddie Hearn didn't back the fight, they said Showtime would. And then soon as and if I'm not mistaken, Bill Haney, Devin and Bill, they sent the contract. They sent a contract to Gary Russell, and he claimed it was all this stuff that was wrong with it. But Bill Haney said, all right, well, if you saying that this thing's wrong in the contract, they said, then you write out all of the stuff in there that you think is wrong and fix it, sign it and send it back so we can make the fight happen. Gary Russell said, oh, we'll put another point. Put another 0.5 on that. Put another 0.5 on it. Then I'm gonna beat your ass, shorty. So you went from asking for 1.5, now you saying you want 2 million. If you wanted 2 million, you should have just asked for that from the gate. But I think Gary Russell asked for the 1.5 because he didn't think that they was gonna do it. And people keep forgetting Devin Haney is a real actual promoter. Like Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya, he has a real promoter's license. Now, see, what people don't know and understand is that you got a lot of fighters out here that claim to have their own promotion. You'll see they name up, such and such promotion, this and that promotion, but it actually be up underneath, whoever their promoter is. Like, their name is just, up underneath it. They don't have official promoters paperwork, saying that they are their own promoter separate from who they're being promoted by. Devin Haney is a real promoter. And they said, we'll put the money up. And when they said, okay, I guess, they responded too fast, or maybe he was expecting them to try to haggle a little bit. So you asked for 1.5, and I don't think that he has made 1.5 million in one of his fights. So if he would have took the 1.5, that probably would have been his biggest payday, to date out of all his fights. But there's a whole he did an interview with Brian Custer and said he's not going to water down the sport by fighting complete bums, because he talking about how YouTubers can come in and get fights and get paid more than actual fighters, and he's right about that. He's right. He ain't lying about that. He right. He on point with that. And and I respect the stand that he taking on that. Like, listen, you ain't gonna see me in there fighting no YouTubers and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I get that. But to say that there's no fights out there for you, or the reason why you're not fighting, the Tank Davis, the Devin Haney, or even the Shakur Stevensons, or Cool Boy Steph, all these are good fights that's out there for you. Because he said out of his own mouth, boxing is about the best fighting the best. So when one of the best gave you what you asked for, they was willing to oblige you with that, then you tried to throw some other stuff in there. And most of the time, and this is not what I'm saying, but most of the time, anybody will tell you, especially in the boxing industry, if a fighter asks for a certain amount and you give them that amount and then they ask for more, they really don't want the fight. That's what they saying. They really don't want it. Now, I'm not saying that Gary Russell really don't want to fight Devin Haney. Only he knows if he really wants to fight Devin Haney or Tank, Cool Boy Steph, Shakur Stevenson, you know what I mean? Tevin Farmer, Josh Warrington, only he know if he really want to fight those guys or not. But if boxing is about the best fighting the best, and that probably fighting any one of these guys, even Teofimo Lopez, that you'll probably make more fighting either one of those guys that you've made fighting your mandatories. You probably would get more money. I'm sure he would. So it's plenty of fights out there. Burchett, another one. Burchett is another fight out there for him. It's a lot of fights out there for you, Gary. It's a lot of fights out there for you. Now, I don't know, what his reasoning is for fighting once a year. He says, he the longest reigning WBC featherweight champion in history or something to that effect. But if I had the belt and I was fighting once a year, I probably would be too. But this is why people saying the stuff that they saying about him, like he can't fill no arena. He don't got enough fans that'll, buy his pay-per-view. If he do fight on pay-per-view, it'll more than likely be because of who his opposition is. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Floyd did it, and he teaching Javante the game now with that. You want to get the big money? Fight the people that got countries following behind them. They country's going to buy it. But if he think he's going to have an easy fight on his hands with Tomoki Kameda, it's not. If the Tomoki Kameda, if Kameda that fought McDonald the first time, if he show up to fight, it should be a tough fight. Now Tomoki got to tighten up on his defense though. Gary Russell will exploit that because Gary Russell can fight. Very skilled. He can fight backing up and all that quick. Fast. Listen, one of the fastest jabs I ever seen in boxing. I give him that. One of the fastest jabs. You can't, listen, like I said, right here at Rashawn's About Time Boxing, listen, whether you like a fighter or not, you cannot deny a fighter's skill set. He's not champion for nothing. So you can't take that away from him. But, for it to be all these names out here, the names that I mentioned, the Josh Warrington, Teofimo, Tevin Farmer, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Cool Boy Steph, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Devin Haney, it's a lot of, I mean, you would have been the one fighting Devin Haney in November if you would have took the 1.5. He wouldn't have had to fight Gamboa. And then he talked about, Gamboa like, oh, he fighting Gamboa. Don't nobody, he's no disrespect to Gamboa, but don't nobody want to see that Gamboa old, he 38, 39 years old. No. Yeah, but when you fought Mark Too Sharp Johnson was old. But you bragged about that because that was a name on your resume. That's a name on Devin Haney's resume. What he supposed to do? I don't know if y'all remember when Larry Merchant did an interview with Floyd Mayweather a long time ago. When he asked him about fighting the bigger fights. Floyd said, look, if the top guys don't want to fight me, he said, I'm going to fight the guys underneath them. And if they don't want to fight, I'm going to fight the guys underneath them. He said, I got a job to do. I got to stay busy. I can't make these guys fight me. And just like Devin Haney said, like they talking about, he ain't fight nobody, he ain't beat nobody, he ain't nothing. Then why everybody wants so much money to fight him? Teofimo asked for $10 million. $10 million. I mean, come on. So, the fight was there for the taking. You just didn't take it. And you got all these other names out there. If boxing is about the best fighting the best, step up and let your skill speak for itself, and then the money that you want will come. Because you got to remember, on the first half of Floyd's career, none of them guys wanted to fight Floyd. None of them. Shane, Winky Wright, none of those guys wanted to fight Floyd. None of them did, because they didn't think he was worth it. Everybody was chasing Oscar. And as soon as Floyd beat Oscar and he became the man, now all of a sudden, now everybody chasing Floyd. Before, he wasn't even in their radar and they didn't even care. The old throwback fighters back then, they wasn't making nowhere near the kind of money these fighters making today. And yet and still, they all found a way to fight each other to make the fight happen. And they wasn't getting nowhere near what these fighters getting today. Nothing. And a lot of them was getting ripped off. Some of them was fighting, not even getting paid after the fight. So how can you say it ain't nobody out there for you to fight? You don't want to fight. Stay out there. And if you talking about your worth, then fight the people that's in front of you. And the rest of the business will take care of itself. But don't say, people running from you. He's saying that these guys is running from him. They not running from you. Ain't nobody, they not running from you. Now, I know if it come down to him fighting Tank, like with Floyd and Leonard Ellerbe and Alhaim, that's going to be a chess match. That's going to be a chess match. That's about picking the right time and all that. And right now, they feel like, we don't need the fighting right now. And the clock is ticking. He, 32? Almost 33 or something like that. So you got to make it happen, man. The fights is out there. Start with those list of names and, because I guarantee you, if you ask them about all of them, he'll say that none of them can touch him. I got the skill set, the tools. I keep my skill. I keep myself sharp and all that. This and that. You supposed to, as an active professional fighter and a champion, you supposed to always be ready. So it ain't no excuse when you a champion and an active fighter. No, ain't no excuse. What do y'all think? Do y'all think he really want to fight these guys? Tell me what y'all think at the bottom. Drop some comments. Smash that like button. Is Gary Russell becoming one of boxing's biggest crybabies? Do he really want to fight these guys, or is he just pump faking? Look out for the About Time Boxing podcast coming on the Mixler app. Shout out to Blue Blood TV, New Media Boxing, Aki TV, Showboat TV, and of course the biggest shout I say for last for the About Time Boxing family and the Trill 100 Mil gang. We out.